Welcome to the Life with Kring on Air, a podcast about purpose, parenting, and people. In here, we hope to talk and collaborate on how to thrive in the 30s with your 30-something host, Trisha Julio. Hello friends! Today is Sunday and the first Sunday of my birth month, August. We just listened to the service at church, but before that, Anyara and I took a bath early and we get into our Sunday's best. Like usual, since July, I started creating posts while listening to the service so that my notes is posted immediately once I am done with the service. But unfortunately, for 2 weeks now, I hadn't had time to organize my thoughts into a blog because as previously mentioned on a previous episode, it's really hard to squeeze in blogging right now with Onyara. Actually, while I am recording this, she is breastfeeding. So, hopefully, I'll be able to wrap up my thoughts about what I learned today at the service. But to sum it up, it's once again very empowering and very timely. It's as if God is telling me directly what I needed to hear. So, yep, it looks to me that God is indeed with me. He is just there to validate my plans and to align His plans to my plans. Because at the end of the day, it's always God's plan that would matter, not our own plan. So, going back to Dr. Roy Versosa's message, and that is, 1. God recognizes our problem. Number 2, God reveals our potential. And number 3, God releases our provision. Looking at it from this perspective, right? Sharing is my passion. And since I'm very busy nowadays, I can't really have time to share or to do a blog, to do a video recording or anything like that because it's just hard. But even with that hardship, I don't actually feel that it's a problem because it's just a minor one. As how the husband put it, so millennials. But even so, I know that God knows that it's a big thing for me because I always want to help and I always want my voices to be heard across. So, thank you, Lord, for the suggestion, putting me out there to start my podcast, and hopefully, I'll be able to continue. So, today, this is the first recording of my Sunday reflection. Bear with me, guys, as I continue to talk about my learnings for today's service. Number 1, for Dr. Roy, we are not forsaken. Problems are there for God to create an opportunity for Him to display in His goodness. For this one, I truly, deeply believe in this. Like if I have a problem, I automatically look for the silver linings. So I like that he said about turning our mess into a message. Before I just always use the test into testimony. Right now, I'm so happy that I could use another term, and that is mess to message. It's actually good. Whenever you have problems, most people will just go over OA with all the problems. I'm not saying going over OA is bad. Actually, it's good so that you are feeling the problem. Because sometimes there's this toxic positivity. Although I don't believe in it, I know that there are people who feel strongly about it. So, sometimes it's good that we are feeling in our problems, but what's bad is that you letting the problem control you. What we should do is that we turn our mess into a message by asking God first what to be done with your problem. So, instead of panicking or instead of being OA with the problem, no matter how big or no matter how small, you try to stay still and pray. Panicking and doing something rash will not gonna help. So we should know and we should realize what to do first. And that is to put our hope in God alone. Because whatever we have, like small and significant things, can turn to great in the hands of God. So if you have a big problem right now, even in your little means, God can always find something great and something that could help you be out of your problem. But you must beware that while you are doing this, you cannot expect people to understand what we do in step of our faith. So while doing your solving the problem, putting it all to God, you should think that people may not understand you. So focus on what God will think of you. Don't focus on what people will think of you. Because at the end of the day, we go back to our main purpose, then that is to put our hope in God alone. So that's my take for the first point, and I hope I'm able to relay it well. For the second point, God reveals our potential. As I was listening to the message this morning, I was very reflective on this one, thinking that indeed hardships makes us creative. So the more we experience problems, the more we become awesome in solving problems. Like we God is equipping us to be battle ready. As we are solving problems upon problems, God is helping us discover our potential. Like if you don't experience any problems at all in your entire life, the tendency is that you are not upskilling or you are not learning things that has helped you in solving a problem because you are problem free. So when you are experiencing a problem, be thankful because it makes you creative. And to the last point, God releases our provision. So from the problem to the potential to the provision. So if you look at it in a higher perspective, when you have a problem, God will hone your skills to be able to solve the problem, and then the provision is God's part. But you have to do what you have to do in order for God's provision to work. Because God's help only work if you allow yourself to be helped. It doesn't go that way that you will only rely on God without doing your end first. For a miracle to happen, you must at least be ready for it. As for me, I can relate it to that time when we were expecting for Onyara. So before, we were just like praying for Onyara, but then hoping and praying, but in a hindsight, we are not actually ready to have a baby because we don't have a good, our work at that time is not stable, and we have a lot of debts to pay and all. And then God, being God, as for me, He transferred me to Accenture where my salary increased, and then without even knowing that they have the 4 months of maternity leave. And I think that's my main takeaway in everything. Like I maybe didn't see it as having a baby will brought me some problem, but I haven't realized that having a baby is actually hard. It will take a lot of money, and considering our status in 2017, that's when we prayed for the baby. And I think if I got pregnant 2017 without a new job and with mama's mental issue, it would have been like it wouldn't be the best time for Onyara to come. So I thank God for that one. I think I did my part in the provision because instead of worrying that I didn't get pregnant in 2017, just as prayed, I let go and let God take in. And so He gave us Onyara in 2018. The very best time for Onyara to come because we have a new job and I am in a company that is very supportive with motherhood. And that's why I'm very thankful to that. On top of the 3 points to ponder, Dr. Roy also talked about the 3 lessons to focus. And number 1, we need to know where to go when we don't know what to do. Number 2, if we focus on what we do not have, we could miss the possibilities of what we already have. And number three, know that our faith has to function before we can experience God's provision. And I think I pretty much cover all three lessons to focus in my story about how Onyara came to be. That is all it, guys, and thank you so much for listening to this first episode on Sunday Reflection. With that said, I encourage you guys to go to City Church online in Facebook and listen to the whole message so you will be able to understand and check whether there's something in it for you as well. Because if it has helped me, I am hoping and praying that it will help you too. Thank you so much and God bless. For always remember to put God first and the rest shall follow. Have a blessed day and enjoy the rest of your Sunday with your family. Bye-bye! This episode of Life with Kring on Air was brought to you with love and prayers. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to hear more, please subscribe and share what you think at lifewithkring.wordpress.com. And as always, have a blessed day and remember that we are not made to survive, but we were made to thrive. Happy thriving, friends!